Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It's a great Wednesday morning here in the nation's capital. If you're happy that we've got snow on the ground from that snowfall Sunday, well, enjoy it while it lasts because the weather's warming up. We got rain coming as well, and it'll be gone by Friday. Sorry. I hope you got all your pictures. I did. I got some beautiful pictures. Lovely. Coming up at 8:05, Byron York from the Washington Examiner will join us. And at 8:35, Greg Pemberton, the chief of the D.C. Police Union. It's Larry O'Connor alongside the one and only Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Joining us right now, friend of this program, friend of Patriots everywhere, especially minds full of mush that need forming and infusion of patriotism and real, true history. He's Dr. Matthew Spalding, professor constitutional government at Hillsdale College. He's also the dean of the Graduate School of Government right here in Washington, D.C. He's got a brand new book, The Making of the American Mind. Dr. Spalding, thanks for joining us, and congratulations on this book.
Thank you very much, and good morning to you, Larry.
Listen, it's, first of all, a beautiful book. I love
Thank you.
How gorgeous it is. There's something about the aesthetic of holding a book with this kind of the type, the feel of the papers, and you've got drafts of the Declaration on the inside covers here, which really sort of, the second you start reading the book, you feel like you're immersed in everything that went into that document.
Yes. No, it was, look, this is something I've been studying for a long time and working on and writing. I teach this in the graduate school. And I wanted to create a beautiful book for the anniversary going to next year, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to do something that was generally available to everyone, a general narrative, a story, if you will, a love story of the Declaration, why you should love your country, so that people could read it and come to love it, if for the first time perhaps, but perhaps again, and get that story in a very accessible way. You know, this is what we're losing and we're missing. We take this for granted. We think we know this. We've heard of it. We hear it read on the 4th of July, or we see it in a car ad.
Right.
But it's actually a beautiful story, a great story, a manly story about what these men did. And it's a wonderful thing.
I love the idea that this is the making of the American mind, because if you think about the Declaration, it was sort of the distillation of everything that everyone in that room, those founders in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, were discussing and debating and wrangling over with regard to the separation of the colonies from King George and England. And basically what your thesis here is that document, that Declaration of Independence, was sort of the formation of what became the American personality, the American thought process. And since then, we Americans look at things differently than other people in other countries. Isn't that so?
No, that's right. This is the beginnings of what we refer to as American exceptionalism. Why is this country different? It's not merely a jingoistic claim. And it has something to do with the Declaration. A few things you pointed out there that are crucially important. One is we oftentimes think of this as merely something Jefferson wrote. Now, all honor to Jefferson. He's a beautiful, gifted writer, and he drafted the document. But he wrote it for the Continental Congress. It's written as a piece of legislation. It's passed by a legislature. They edit it for 2 days. It's cut by a third. It becomes this broader statement. The phrase American mind comes from a letter that Jefferson wrote when he said, I didn't intend to invent anything new here. I didn't make anything up. It was intended to be an expression of the American mind, by which he meant an expression of all those pamphlets and debates and things going on around him and in the Congress. And that's still the case. You know, every major presidential address, every major president at some point in our politics constantly point back to the Declaration of Independence. Mm-hmm. It's still a key component of who we are. And I would actually argue that many of the debates on the left and the right today are actually debates about that. And that's what we're having this dream about. Yes, sorry.
No. I'm so enjoying hearing you talking about this, but I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the Trump administration and how they really appreciate this. Just the other day, they had a Bill of Rights Day at the White House, And several of my colleagues went to the National Archives to see the letter of transmittal signed by President George Washington. And Trump, I believe he has I think it's a version of the Constitution, one of the many prints of the Constitution in the White. I don't think it's the original, but in the White House, he seems to really want to celebrate our founding and our history, and understands just how important these documents are. Talk to me a little bit about that. We are about to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the nation, so it's important at a time like this, right?
No, it is, and actually, what President Trump has in the Oval Office is a copy of what is called the Dunlop broadside. It actually is one of the first printings of the Declaration of Independence.
Okay.
And it's hanging on his wall there. It's one of those early printings. But yes, he's taken a keen interest in all this. I'm acting as an advisor for the group that's kind of helping create some of these events and do things. And there's something about him that has this instinctive patriotism that I think is in many ways the core to his politics. If you recall, way back at the very beginning, in his debates, his comments about immigration, one of the lines he always liked to use is, if you don't have borders, you can't have a country. Mm-hmm. That is, you go back to some of his core policies, and there's something about wanting to restore this sense of a nation, and a nation with a particular purpose. I mean, think about his great motto, "Make America Great Again."
Yeah.
The key word there is again. It's a great country. It was great. Let's make it great again. Well, why was it great? And I think this anniversary and the fact that he's present during this anniversary has been very striking to him. And he's allowing a lot of things to occur. He's instructing a lot of things to occur. He's doing things. He's pulling things in. He's recognizing things. Which is exactly what this moment should be. This is a unique moment when these questions should be before the American mind, and we see what they mean for us today regarding our liberties and our constitutional rights and all aspects of our political lives.
We're speaking with Dr. Matthew Spalding, and he forms young American minds as a professor in constitutional government at Hillsdale College and also the dean of the Graduate School of Government right here in Washington, D.C. And by the way, this book, The Making of the American Mind, is available now. It's just in time for America's 250th, and what a fantastic present, no matter what holiday you're celebrating with your family this coming week. I want to draw your attention to the chapter, Our Sacred Honor. Because there's words like sacred, words like supreme judge, divine providence. This is spiritual. This is Judeo-Christian language without being a religious document. The religion of those individuals who signed the document were pretty paramount, I would think, to craft this. That's part of the American mind, isn't it?
No, it absolutely is indeed one of the things I think that has been largely overlooked. For the longest time, the history of this document in particular was seen as, it's merely a matter of enlightenment, rationalism, and secularism. And that was part of the problem. But I think if you go back and actually read it for what it says, look at its history, read the other documents at the time around it, and the document itself, you see that there's actually a substantive theology in the Declaration that can't be ignored. You really can't read it without the theology. Yeah. So on the one hand, it's not particular, it's not sectarian, it's not New Testament in its doctrinal presentation, but it's not so secular that it has nothing there. It's almost like this Old Testament sense of a God that is clearly recognized. I mean, it's the very beginning. It's the laws of nature and nature's God. Then there's the rights we have. We are created equal. We're not merely equal. We're created equal, and we're endowed by our Creator. Yeah. And then, of course, at the end, that last paragraph, this supreme judge sees the rectitude of our intentions, sees in our hearts, and divine providence. So there's something more to it that I think is extremely important as well as we think about this American mind. It's not merely a political mind. There's a kind of a cultural argument grounded in reason and revelation here that really makes America in its grounding, its mooring, if you will, unusual. It's a culmination in many ways of Western civilization as it goes through the Greeks and the Romans, through British constitutional law and the Christian tradition into Philadelphia.
Well, we could talk to you for hours, Dr. Spalding, but sadly we're up against it here. You know our schedule. You're listening.
Yes.
But don't be a stranger. This is going to be a big year, this 250th anniversary, and your voice here on WMAL is going to be an important one that we look forward to. So thank you for joining us. Merry Christmas. And
Merry
everybody
Christmas.
get the book, The Making of the American Mind, the story of our Declaration of Independence.
Great Christmas gift.
Thank you,
Great.
Dr.
Thanks,
Spalding.
Larry, Julie. All right, bye-bye.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Well, we have more information now about the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle. And Rob Reiner's son, Nick, has now been charged with murder, and we're hearing some grisly details here about what happened. It's been revealed that the evening before the murder, there was a Christmas party of a bunch of Hollywood luminaries hosted by Conan O'Brien. And Nick Reiner, along with his parents, attended that party, but apparently he was very loud and very belligerent. He had been living in the back house. I guess there's like a
guest house.
Pool house, guest house kind of thing on the property in Brentwood. At some point there, prosecutors allege he then murdered his parents that Saturday evening or in the early hours of Sunday morning. He then checked into a Santa Monica hotel at about 4 a.m., and the hotel room has been discovered a grisly scene with blood in the bed and bed sheets. And,
Yeah, I want to know who was sitting at the reception desk.
Well,
I mean, sorry, but that news came out that the room was apparently just
covered in
smeared
blood,
with blood, and
Yeah.
I'm like, who checked him in? Like,
well,
why
it's
didn't they
funny.
call the cops?
I kind of just assumed that these days you can check in via your app or something and just
I don't think
get
you
a
can
get a
you can just
mobile
get
key.
the key.
Yeah, you can get a mobile key on your.
Really?
Marriott does that. Yeah,
Look at you. Apparently, I haven't been going to.
I don't know. I just assumed that because yes, it sure sounds like. Yeah, it sure sounds like
Well,
he,
look,
he had a lot of blood all over him.
The news is coming out that this guy was troubled for years and years and years. And, it was very interesting when this first happened. They showed pictures, a lot of promotional stuff from a movie he and his father had done when this kid, Nick, was, much younger and talking about his addiction. And he was apparently, according to him, recovered at that point, clean. And he and his father were talking about this movie. I mean, talk about lucky. Your student film is that you've written with a buddy that took 2 years to write is being directed by your, award-winning Hollywood famous director father.
Yeah.
And the interviews were strange. There seemed to be tension there. They admitted to fighting on set. He seemed ungrateful to me in a lot of the interviews. So a lot of coverage coming out. But what I was going to say about those early sort of promotional videos, I then saw a more recent photo of him. He does not look clean cut. He looks like he's troubled and sort of menacing. He has a menacing look on his face because he was at some Hollywood parties and was photographed with his parents. Just last month.
There is something in the eyes, definitely, in all of those photos. And by the way, I've done a quick check on the hotel situation and eyewitnesses. Here's what we're hearing from reports in Southern California. First of all, he appeared at this Conan O'Brien Christmas party in a hoodie. Everyone else was in tuxedos and black tie. Sources say he looked disheveled and high. There was an argument with his father, and all of the Reiners left. Eyewitnesses at the hotel say that Nick Reiner looked, quote, tweaked out when he checked in, but there was no blood, no cuts, no visible injuries. So whatever happened in that room happened after he arrived and checked in. Don't know. He was eventually found and picked up near Exposition Park. Now, Exposition Park is in downtown Los Angeles. The hotel he was in Santa Monica, which is on the west side near the ocean. Who knows? By the way,
Well,
his attorney now is Alan Jackson, the same lawyer who represented Kevin Spacey in all of his legal troubles.
real quick on that Conan O'Brien party, he apparently was walking around harassing other the other attendees of this party, asking them, "Are you famous?" Getting in their face, kind of scaring them. And he then got into a fight with Bill Hader, who was an SNL alum.
Yeah, sure.
And got in sort of a sort of screaming match with Bill Hader, because it sounded like he was menacing people at this party. So made quite the spectacle of himself at this party. The family then left. And it sounds like, the Reiners went home. He went to this hotel, but eventually went back to the Reiners' home and murdered them. And there's been reports that they were in their beds. They were found in their beds. So just an absolutely horrific, this is the stuff of horror movies, really troubling story.
And horrible, and a family tragedy, obviously. And with lessons to be learned. At the moment, by the way, he has been arrested on suspicion of murder. He has not been charged because he has not been medically cleared to be able to face charges. So we'll keep an eye on that. 7:23.
Coming up, there are lots of reactions to that unfair Vanity Fair piece, and we'll give you Marco Rubio's thoughts and a few others. Keep it here, 7:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. News now. Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
WMAL. 7:37. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in on this week before Christmas Eve. I mean, it's getting serious now. The countdown is at hand. Coming up at 8:05, we'll talk to Byron York of the Washington Examiner. And then at 8:35, Greg Pemberton. He's the head of the D.C. Police Union. I'm Larry O'Connor, alongside Julie Gunlock, dressed in sort of one of those trashy Santa outfits that
Sure, yes.
the women like to wear. It's like that.
Just call me Sydney Sweeney.
It's a little too much cleavage for Mrs. Claus, but
well, I got dressed in the dark. Give me a
I
break.
understand. Well, you do what you got to do to get those
You do what
gifts.
you got to do.
Absolutely. I don't begrudge you one bit. It's radio. We got to paint the picture for people.
Exactly.
Yes. So this Vanity Fair piece that all D.C. is abuzz with, we talked about it at length there, but I still feel if you hone in on one sort of it's hiding in plain sight is the narrative about Secretary of State Rubio and Vice President J.D. Vance. You mentioned the joke that J.D. Vance executed when they were taking pictures, saying, "I'll pay you $100 for every cabinet member you make look awful, and $1,000 for Rubio," right? And people are like, "Ooh, shots fired." They tease each other and they joke with each other because I think they both recognize that here in D.C., whether it's real or not, it's been determined that there's a rivalry between the two of them for the Republican nomination in 28.
Well, and that's they wanted this kind of chaos, and they got a lot of this chaos, and Trump won.
Yeah.
And it's just not working this time. It's a much different team. Believe me, I am not here to criticize Trump won, because my goodness, boy, were they.
Oh, they had
treated
the deck
terribly,
against
and
them. Yes,
absolutely. The media was terrible. But this group is really tight, and they've found that they've tried everything. They keep trying everything, right? Oh, this is going to get him. Oh, this is going to get him. And now they're trying to sow this kind of discord and
right.
Between these people and bring division with it. And they're not going to let it. It's very clear from their reactions yesterday. They are not going to let this happen.
And yet I seem to be participating in that, because I truly do think there is something there. I really do. It is specific to the Marco Rubio thing.
I'm not saying there's nothing. I'm just saying,
I want to go back to the main thesis. You either think Susie Childs is naive or stupid for doing this, or you think that this is a calculated political move of some sort. Here's the thing. All of the takeaways yesterday. She said Trump has an alcoholic's personality. She says Vance is a conspiracy theorist. She says Russ Vought is a right-wing zealot. She says Elon Musk is a ketamine user and odd. She says Pam Bondi whiffed on the Epstein file. Oh, can you, real fast, because you followed this story yesterday. Julie, what was the negative thing she said about Marco Rubio?
Right, I get it. And
there isn't one.
And but look, your theory can serve my theory here, which is, of course, she's not going to say anything about Marco Rubio. She's been with him. She's sort of a Marco guy, and so she might have been more. She might have been more. She might have been a little bit more freewheeling with the others. I don't think this is some sort of. I get what you're saying. She's no dummy, and I don't think you have to. It's not binary. You don't have to choose. She's a dummy and naive, or she's this political operative who's trying to put Marco Rubio ahead of things. I think that there is something to be said about people who think, okay, I'm going to get a fair shake this time. I really am. I think they're going to be fair about this. And yes, maybe that's naive, but I think people can be sold on this stuff, and I wish it wouldn't happen, and it needs to stop. But that's my sense of things.
On the exact same day this story broke, and everyone was abuzz about it, Marco Rubio said to the New York Post, or the New York Post is reporting, Marco Rubio said that he has ruled out a run for president in 2028. He said, I am not running, not going to happen, if J.D. Vance is seeking the Republican nomination. Now, isn't it interesting and fascinating that story comes out on the same day that this other story comes out, where his longtime political ally, Susie Wiles, blasts everyone in the administration, most pointedly J.D. Vance. And
do you think it's not true? Do you think this is all part of some strategy to look humble and no, I'm not running, and this? You have really woven
I
quite
don't know. I think there.
When's the book coming out?
Now, J.D. Vance did a political event up in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And oftentimes when he does a rally or a public speech, he opens up the floor to reporters who are following him. It's a fun thing he's done since the campaign.
And you know it's his favorite part of any speaking event.
It is, because he gets to respond in real time and tweak. And it also sort of shows the audience, usually full of MAGA loyalists, that he can do the Trump thing.
Yeah,
this is a really good. So here's the moment when a reporter asked about the Susie Wiles article and whether he is a conspiracy theorist. Here was his reply.
I'll trust what you said. I haven't looked at the article. I, of course, have heard about it. But conspiracy theorist, sometimes I am a conspiracy theorist, but I only believe in the conspiracy theories that are true. Yeah. And by the way, Susie and I have joked in private and in public about that for a long time. For example, I believed in the crazy conspiracy theory back in 2020 that it was stupid to mask 3-year-olds at the height of the COVID pandemic, that we should actually let them develop some language skills. I believed in this crazy conspiracy theory that the media and the government were covering up the fact that Joe Biden was clearly unable to do the job.
I guess we're all conspiracy theorists. No, that's how you handle these things. J.D. Vance is very good at this. Very good at this.
Yeah, he is. He's skilled, and that is red meat to the MAGA base.
That's right. Good way to secure that nomination. All right, we will talk to Byron York about all this palace intrigue that makes this town run. He'll be joining us at 8:05.
Later this morning in the Chris Plant Show, the Democrats have created a new terrorist group. They hate capitalism, and they hate you. 9 a.m. on WMAL.
Of course she knew. Duh. It's 7:49. It's O'Connor and Company. Larry and Julie here. And I have a certain pet peeve about Christians who pontificate in the public square, trying to wrap their radical left-wing policies around one phrase or even a misinterpretation of the New Testament. It's a major pet peeve of mine.
Yes, mine too.
Especially around this time of year when you hear Mary described as a single mother.
Yes.
No, actually, it's not true at all. Or if
Planned Parenthood was closed that day, so she had to have the baby.
or Joseph and Mary and Jesus were refugees, And
Oh, the worst.
why don't we offer them asylum in a barn? Well, that one reared its head in Minneapolis. The police chief talking about the current ICE raids against criminals who are in the country illegally, and of course he had to raise this one here. And by the way, the worst part of this is he talks about how he was raised Catholic, which once again reminds us how lousy we are at basic education of our very own, we Catholics.
Yeah, he was one of those CCD kids.
Yeah. Here's cut 16.
It's especially personal to me, having been raised a Catholic, to be in a Christian church this morning as we are approaching Christmas. And I cannot help but think of what is happening in our city today and how that echoes with how outsiders have been treated for thousands of years. How Mary and Joseph themselves were considered outsiders and forced to stay in a barn. That's what we're getting.
Stop. Just like a base, and again, the raised Catholic is the most important part of that, because I'm guessing around 8th grade he was like, "Yeah, I'm done with this."
Right,
so
exactly.
he's remembering now, in 2nd grade.
Notice he didn't say as a devout practicing Catholic. No.
Yeah,
I was raised. Yeah, it's 4th grade.
Well, that's what Biden would do, though.
Yes, of course.
But I'm for those of you who don't understand, they lived in Nazareth. They had to go to Bethlehem, which was the city of Joseph's birth and family, because the authoritarian, totalitarian, tyrannical government forced a census so taxes could be raised. If we really want to politicize the Jesus story, let's focus on that
Welch
part
was
of it.
after him.
Yes. But Nazareth and Bethlehem were all the same country. When they went to Bethlehem, they weren't considered outsiders, because it was all Judea, it was all Israel. Thank you very much. They may have had a crazy little Galilean accent, but they were all the same people practicing the same faith. They were not sent to the barn because they were disliked.
There was no room.
There was nowhere else to be, by the way. And finally, if I may, for everybody who does this, look how Mary and Joseph were treated, and now we're treated. Guess what? Mary and Joseph were treated that way because God intended it. Mary and Joseph were treated that way, and their child still was the savior of the universe because he was God. So when you try to say we shouldn't treat people like this, we should learn. No, actually, the lesson is, even if you are treated poorly and have great hardships and you have to make the best of a situation, even giving birth in a barn and putting your baby in a manger, you can still overcome those hardships and end up, being the Messiah. But that's the lesson.
Also, I'm sorry, it was roughly 2,000 years ago, and there wasn't a Hojo on every corner. Okay, I just hate this. I hate this idea of where's the Wawa? Where they had to ride a donkey? What, was there no Uber? It's just stupid to make these kinds of comparisons.
Let's also, lest we forget, and I believe this is in the Gospel according to Mark. I could be wrong. But there's that whole chapter about how the refugees from Galilee who were in Bethlehem engaged in welfare fraud against the Romans.
That's
and
right.
stole billions of shekels, pretending
Notice
that it
he's
was.
not talking about that.
Yeah. Let's not forget it, lest we forget.
Lest
it's 7:54.